All to read just the top of all 10 of the 10-point platform, and say it with meaning.
We want
freedom. We want power to determine. I can't hear nobody. Come on. Say it like you mean it.
There you go.
Get the paper out.
Read the paper. Come on, Helpfulness family. These are our principles.
I'll put the microphone down.
No, they can put their pens down right now and then read.
No, you better.
All right,
keep it on there.
let's go. Number one. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black community.
Oh, my dear.
Number two, we want full employment for our people. Number three, we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our black community. Number four, we want decent housing. We want decent housing. We want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. We want education for our people. That is the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Number six, we want completely free health care for all black and oppressed people. Number seven, we want an immediate end to the police brutality and
murder of black people.
I don't hear nobody.
We have a different number 6.
Oh,
We
really?
do. Our number 6 is we want all black men to be exempt from military service.
All right.
Yeah. Well, there's a story behind that. I'll
That's okay.
explain that,
Yeah.
'cause it
We-
changed.
Yeah. Let's go to number 7. We want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. Number 8. We want an immediate end to all wars of aggression. Number 9. We want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. We want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in a court by a jury of their peer group or people from as defined by the Constitution of the United States. Number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace.
And people's community
Ashe.
control of modern technology.
Amen.
Oh, my dear.
Okay. All right. So I want to focus in on number 4. And I want to put an emphasis on decent. Everybody say decent.
Decent.
Decent. So I know we all, people of color, have those horror stories of housing experience. Forced to accept squalor and inadequate housing because you're afraid that you might be kicked out. So you will accept something that is less, that is under, how would I say? What's a good word I could say?
It's
Uninhabitable for human beings. I know this firsthand because I did it. When I was before I thought I was being faced with gentrification in North Oakland, I lived and settled with it, bed bugs and mice, because I was afraid to put up any rift. I was afraid because I already knew that the property was attracting the greedy developers and scam lords. So I didn't say anything because if I said something, I felt that I would be kicked out and I would be homeless. So I know a lot of us go through that. But in 1966, the Panthers spoke on it. And guess what? Homefulness is doing it. Okay? Yeah. And so there is a constant war on the poor. And I call it population control of people of color. So the self-help hunger program, for an example, is rooted, is the seed, is the legacy that continues on of the Black Panther Party. And I call it a nipple that nourishes our community, that little space of land, because it's a place where you know, you can get produce, and then you can help with housing because we care about each other, building up that community. I'm going to ask Kathy, as we were on our way over here, and I asked her, I said, can you give the class the history of the 10-point platform and what we did in the party that dealt with our housing situation back then?
Okay, so, it's not on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is not working. but y'all can hear me, right? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
There it is. Nice working.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, so, so Huey and Bobby, as you all know who Huey and Bobby is, does everybody know who they are?
Yes.
Okay, the founders of Black Panther Party. And it's really simply put, Huey was filling all of his needs. I want to ask you all a question before I go on. How many of you woke up this morning? What did you have on your mind this morning to do when you woke up this morning? What was on your mind? What was on your mind, sweetheart?
Go tell her.
When you woke up this morning? Getting dressed. Okay, and you wanted to get dressed because? Because you wanted to go to school. And what are you coming to school for?
Go home.
To learn. There you go. So, Huey had all of these, even that, he wanted to learn desperately. That's why he got his doctorate degree. And he had other needs too. Housing, clothing, food, all those things that you need in your community in order to succeed in going to school, getting up in the morning to dress and go and learn. But those weren't happening for us, and they discovered it was across the board. It was everywhere, everyone could relate to our needs. So what Huey said was, okay, we're gonna have a platform. We need to have a platform, a 10-point platform program for the community. So what they did was they drew up this 10-point platform and program of what we need and what we want. And all of these, who knows that you can survive off of the 10-point platform and program? Yes, you can survive because that is all of the things that you need in your community to excel. And that's it in a nutshell. That's exactly how the 10-point platform and program came about. And what we did was we lived it.
Yeah.
When I came back from college, and I as I said earlier, I was in a singing group, and I still sing, but I'm a reggae artist now. But I was in a singing group, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about how am I going to get a house. All of a sudden, I said, wait a minute, I don't have a place to live. I didn't have an apartment for myself. I wasn't living at home. My mother and I had a big argument because I came back from college and I had decided to change my plans. But my family had plans for me. They wanted me to be a doctor or something like that. Because no one in my family was a doctor. No one in my family was an engineer. You know what I mean? No one in my family was a judge. All of those things that this child right here is learning that he may come about and want to be, they had not even set that up for us. We were set up to fail. And the first thing was that we didn't have housing. If you don't have housing, you don't have an address. If you don't have housing, you can't cook your food to eat in the morning when you wake up. If you wake up, you might wake up hungry. You want something to eat. And we didn't have that privilege. We had to struggle. I saw my mom struggle. I saw other people's families struggling to make it, struggling to have a job. So the 10-point platform and program reflects all of the things that we need in our community, and it was a vehicle for us to survive.
Yes.
Okay, so Tony,
Yeah.
other
They have questions. Audience have questions.
I have
So
first question.
Yes.
let's start
Okay,
with.
who wants
Wait
the
one
question
second,
again?
Almond Ra. I'm gonna bring this over, and I want you to remember when you get the answer, gonna write down the answer in direct quotes. Okay? Everybody get and Ross question. Go ahead.
What did the 10-point platform make happen?
Wait, hold on. You heard that. What did the 10-point platform make happen? Woo! Good, beautiful question.
It said the 10-point platform gave you an outline. It gave you,
being used.
yeah,
Still,
yes. It gave you a blueprint to follow. And, you know, a lot of times, a lot of us don't know that we are, that we're in deep trouble. A lot of people just, especially with the drugs and things like that, that make you passive, and you're sleeping. This platform keeps you aware and is a blueprint.
Everybody, every youth scholar understand the word blueprint? Does
Yes,
anybody
I was
understand that?
just going to explain that to
Please,
them.
thank you.
Okay, so blueprint. Now, think of this. When I went to college, my major was commercial art. I had to take a lot of art. And then I started taking engineering courses. I had to take art for that. But I also had to make blueprints, okay? I had to draw floor plans and then put them through a machine and come out with a blueprint, okay? And that's the Black 10-Point Platform and Program. That's a blueprint. That's never gonna go away.
Oh.
You can take that with you wherever you go, wherever you move. You can implement that and use it in the community where you are and help them survive.
That's right.
Isn't it also true that if it wasn't for the Black Panther Party, we wouldn't have free lunch at school?
Exactly.
That's right.
Or
Exactly.
the women, infant, and children programs?
Exactly.
Still
Yes.
using that. Say that. They're still using that platform.
That Mama Fest the free breakfast program. Let's just make sure that youth get their questions first. We had Zaire. Well, yeah, but let's.
Well, I'm not a youth and I have a question. Just saying.
What did the Black Panthers make happen?
Well, you just asked that.
No.
Let's take one thing, breakfast in schools.
That's good.
Sickle cell.
WIC,
Wick?
women, infant, children,
Free cheese and
Sup-
milk for
supplemental food.
That's how I was able to get.
My dad didn't take the milk back home.
You know what? I don't get it either because it ain't no good. Okay, let's give it to Zion.
Rick cheese is a big block of cheese. That's actually the
Come
whole
on,
meat.
Si.
Let's go, these guys. Stay on point. Okay, go ahead.
Why you had to put me on the
No,
spot?
come on.
Little louder. Little, we can't hear you. Project.
And other youth scholars, get the answer of what size question. Go ahead.
When will black and brown people take over the government?
Oh, man, that's a good one.
You know our children ain't no players, okay?
When we all come together, it's all about unity, okay?
Yeah. And you know what? I want to answer. What's your name again? Zaire. Zaire. Okay, you're our future. So you are going to change the government. And we are teaching you how to do that. We're giving you the tools that you need to change the government.
Let's go! Who's next?
Okay. All right. Thank you, beautiful sisters. Our next youth scholar is Sister Nigel, and you guys have a question too? Okay, come up with a question, family. Okay. Here you go. Go ahead.
My name is Nigel. Like, who helped come up with the rules or the 10-point plan?
Who wrote it? Who wrote them?
Initially.
Initially it was Huey and Bobby Steele. And I'm just trying to visualize it. I'm sure they after, just dealing, they were just, I think the original name was, we were talking about it on the way, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense.
Yeah.
So in that mode, they put their heads together, and listed the demands that they see every day, that they feel every day, that they live every day. I want to add to that.
And I'll add to that. The paper that you had, sometimes it might have, one of the programs may have been different. It's still principally the same thing. It may have been changed a little bit over the years, to make sure that it was there to serve the community. And it could change again. We don't know. Like this young guy said, how do we change the government? So by the time we change the government, the 10-point platform, the program may change, but it is the blueprint that will never change.
Oh. All right, so we have, I wanted to ask, Avery, did you come up with a question you want to ask? Okay. Donnie, did you want to ask a question? Okay. I'm going to ask our youth scholars here. They can ask combined questions. Just introduce yourself first.
My name is Anaïs. Our question is, how specifically does number 4 help with
Number 4.
How does it help with homelessness and homelessness?
Okay, so the homelessness, how we did it, and how we came about was after the 10-point platform program was established or written, we became a collective. And in the collective, like I was a volunteer first, and a lot of times what they did was they educated you first before you even became a member.
Like people.
And also the youth, that wanted so desperately to be a Black Panther. I know some youth that really was excited, like I was. I was 18. I was very excited.
Yeah.
But one thing that we had to do was we had to make sure that the parents gave their permission if a child wanted to be in the party, or that the parent knew that they were, working with us in the community. That was very important to the for us and the parents to know that, for their safety. And so, but we lived as a collective, and living as a collective meant that you were housed and that you did community work. And the reason why you were housed too, and the reason why we were housed, like I said, we lived all 10 of those points on the on the 10-point platform and program. And as you can see, that one of these says that we want freedom for all Black and oppressed people now held in U.S. federal, state, county, city, military prisons and jails. Well, some of us, we live that, and today, we still are going to jail, being arrested, being shot, being killed unjustly. And so, we lived that, but we lived it where we knew and learned what our rights were so that we wouldn't have to go to jail, which meant that we had to change the system the way it was, because we were so systematically programmed.
I want to add on to that in terms of housing. It was all about collective living. Even our children, we had our own schools. We made sure that the education that they were receiving was on point. So breaking the lies. So as we were living collectively, we were a society within a society. When I moved out on my own, it took me a while to even adjust. You understand? So, yeah, we were all taken care of. I mean, we might have, we got these various houses, and some party members had houses, so we made sure that we were indoors. And I want to go back to the children, also making sure that we taught them the truth. They also lived in dormitories according to their ages. Okay, they would, so that we were close with them with education and just living skills. And then on the weekend, the children would go to their parents.
Okay, also I wanted to say that as far as children, that was very important to us also, because from what we call the CDC Child Development Center, Our children were there first, and when we got that established, we included the community. So the children that were in the daycare center transitioned or transferred into the school, the Oakland Community School. We also had a name called the Intercommunal Youth Institute, before it was the Oakland Community School. So, the education continued, and the children that are these young ladies' ages right now, or maybe even older, of those beautiful young ladies sitting in front of us, they became lawyers.
Oh.
Okay? High professions, but they still maintain the principles of the party.
Oh my God.
It never leaves the mind. Once you learn it, you go with it, and you can take it with you in your different professions.
Okay.
Yes, and so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to give them that foundation to stand on.
Thank you. I'm gonna get Mr. Jason and then Peter and then.
My question is for Sister Catherine in particular. You said that your family had different plans for you and ideas for you. And I'm wondering, what was it about the movement that made you decide to forego the traditional plans where you may have had a comfortable place to stay and join the revolution where things may have been more difficult for you?
Yeah, that was a challenge because I knew that my family was going to be kind of upset with me because they thought I was crazy. They said, "What do you think you're doing? Going against the government, right?" So I said, "Well, I had a grandmother. My grandmother was still living, and we were churchgoers. And what my grandmother always preached and always taught is to love your neighbors, treat them right, serve the people. If they're hungry, feed them. If they have no clothes, clothe them. If they have no shoes, give them a pair of shoes. If they, this is the 10-point platforming program." So when I was challenged, with that and made that decision, I forgo my family. I just said, okay, well, grandmother said that we should always love one to another. And that's all I'm doing. And that's all we're doing in the community. I learned that we're not getting, and see, a lot of my cousins, or the men in my family, were unjustly treated. They served this country, so-called country. I think it was the Vietnam War or something, they were drafting people into the war. And so, the firstborn doesn't go in the war. So my brother didn't have to go. But my cousins and them, some of them had to go because they weren't the firstborn. And they came back, what did they have for them? They didn't have nothing. They just came back to life. So they were used. I just felt like they were used. Still was hard for them to get a job because they didn't look like the people that, that they chose to honor. But they did fight, for the rights of this country. So they should have been able to get some of those rights. They should have been able to exercise some of those. They should have been able to get all the things that some of the people that are coming from war get now. A big house so they can take care of their families, nice jobs, and continue to work in the community. And I didn't see that happening. I asked my grandmother, I said, well, why is it that my cousin is always going to jail? What's going on?